Hi everyone, good day, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. Thank you so much for coming to another Outreachy chat. Let me know if you can hear me very well in the comment section. How are you all doing? Are you really looking forward to the Outreachy December 2023 cohort? The application is starting soon. For those who are just joining us, I'm going to talk about Outreachy, but let me first start with my introduction. So I'm Omotola Eunice Omotayo. I'm one of the Outreachy organizers, and I'm the community manager at Outreachy. I have my teammates with me. I have Anna and I have Sage. Hi Anna, hi Sage. How are you doing today?
Hello.
Doing good. Lovely to be here.
Yeah, I'm doing
Yes,
great.
so thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much for joining this chat again. And so I'm really excited about this because the application is coming soon. So, but before we go into the main discussion for today, can you please introduce yourself? We'll start with Anna.
Hello, folks. I'm Anna. I'm from Brazil. I'm our information and process architect, and I've also been an outreach intern. I worked with the Wikimedia community almost 6 years ago.
And then I'm Sage Sharp. I use they, them pronouns. I've been an outreach organizer since 2016. And I am Outreachy's cultural change agent, which just means I try to make Outreachy and open source more inclusive.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh no.
I think we lost
Yeah,
Omatola,
I
so
think we lost
hopefully
Matala.
hopefully we can continue. Now, I think that the live stream is still going, so we could potentially jump in even if we don't have Omatola. And if what I would suggest is I'll take over and run a little bit, and then Anna, you just double check to make sure the live stream is still going while I keep talking.
Yeah, it looks like it's still going. So
Okay.
we are free to go.
Great. So hello, folks. Welcome. We are so happy to have you here. We're so excited that you get to, that you're thinking about joining us for the internship. So I'm just going to do a very brief introduction of what Outreachy is. And then once Omatola gets back, we'll dive in. But I do want to mention we've covered a lot of topics about what Outreachy is, how to apply, what our application process looks like in a previous YouTube live stream. So there was a live stream that was last December that where we talked about what Outreachy is, how to apply, tips for applying. We really encourage you to watch that particular video. So this live session is going to be more a brief reminder of some of the really important things, and then also a Q&A to answer any questions you have. So I'll pass it back to Omatola.
Okay, thank you so much, Sage, for that. Apologies. So, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Just like Sage mentioned, so if you're just joining or you are just scrolling through YouTube and you come across this video, or this is your first time hearing about Outreachy, so Outreachy is an internship program. We provide internship in open source and open science. Um, and we provide internship in open source and open science. Anna, you might want to meet yourself. Thank you. So, actually provide internship for people who are subject to systemic bias or people who have been impacted by underrepresentation in the technical industry that they are living in. So, in summary, Outreachy is a remote internship program. We pay interns 7,000 USD stipends. You can work from anywhere around the world. It's a 3 month program, and you will have like a one mentorship, that is with someone, with a mentor in the open source and open science community. And also you have the opportunity to leverage on the community, the open source community, to learn from and to grow with. So our program happens twice a year. We have the May cohort and we have the December cohort. So right now we still have interns who are part of the main cohort having their internship. Their internship is still going on. It will be ending soon. And for the December course, the application is actually going to start in few days. I think before the end of this chat, we are going to mention what the day that the application is going to begin. But today, I need you all to take your pen and your paper, jot something down, type in your questions in the comments. You have the Outreachy organizers here who are ready to answer all your questions. So this is a very good opportunity, and just like Usaid mentioned, we have a detailed video about the Outreachy initial application. All you need to know about the initial application, remember we have 3 stages. We have the initial application, we have the internship itself. So you need to pass through the initial application to get to the contribution stage, and you need to pass this stage as well to get to the internship. So sit back, learn, ask your questions, and be open to learning 1 or 2 things to share with others. So we have a few questions here, and I'm going to be throwing the questions between Sage and Anna, and also I will add more into where necessary. So I'm going to start with Anna. So everyone knows, or some persons might know, that the Outreachy internship have requirements. So Anna, do you want to tell us about, like, summarize the eligibility rules? Who are the persons that are eligible for this December course that are going to be starting soon? Who are the people that we are looking out for? What are the things that applicants should have in mind, the most important ones that the applicants should have in mind before they can know or they can be sure that they're actually eligible for the December round?
Folks, first of all, I've seen some questions about whether you have to be a developer to be eligible. You don't necessarily need to be a developer to be eligible. You can't. We offer internships in many areas. It's not an internship focused on development. You have to be over 18. You have to face systemic bias and discrimination in the technology industry, the country you live in. We have some additional eligibility rules for students. So if you are a student from the Southern Hemisphere, this is a great time to apply. We recommend you to apply for this cohort in December. If you are a student in the Northern Hemisphere, we recommend you to apply to the May cohort, which is more suitable for your summer break. And for the initial application itself, as we mentioned, we do have a live stream that goes into more detail, but you will need to answer a couple of essay questions about your specific experiences with discrimination and systemic bias. I do recommend you to take some time to reflect on the questions before submitting your application. This can be a really intense period of the application period, because you will think about many things that have happened in your life, some things that may be traumatic. So you may want to take some time to really reflect on what you're writing, and also take it easy on yourself, because we do know it can take it is emotional labor to talk about those things. But those are the general eligibility rules for Outreachy. Oh, also,
Thank you so much. Okay.
one thing that I want to mention that Sage has reminded me is that you don't need to be a student to apply for Outreachy. We do have this separation between Northern and Southern Hemisphere, but we recommend both students and non-students. We encourage students and non-students to apply to Outreachy.
All right. Thank you so much, Anna, for that explanation. So I can see some questions in the comments. So we'll be going through the questions that we have in the comments, and that way we'll be able to also give or to give insights on what we already mapped out to point out today. So keep your questions coming, and also Anna or Sage or Omakela will be answering some questions in the comments. So you can check through to know if your question has actually been answered so that we can have more time to answer other questions. So the next question I can see here is um, Anna already answered the first question. Sage, there's a question. So my seventh semester, final year just started. So this person is from India and they're asking if they're eligible for this internship.
Right. And I know that some people who are later on in their university, they often have a term where they're expected to take an internship. Outreachy doesn't take that into account. We only have eligibility related to if you are in school. So if you are in India, that we consider that in the northern hemisphere. So no matter what term you're in, you're not eligible for this December cohort. So please do apply for the May cohort instead if you are in India or another northern hemisphere country. I know there was a question about what we mean by northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. The northern hemisphere is like the northern half of the earth, and the southern hemisphere is the southern half of the earth. So I put a link to the Wikipedia article on what the northern hemisphere is, so people can check that out and see the list of countries that are in either the northern or the southern hemisphere.
All right, thank you so much, Sage. We have another one for you. So can you so one of the applicants is asking if they can apply to design internship if they have some work experience in the field but they plan to resign before the internship. I think what they're trying to ask is they want to apply to that as a
Hmm.
designer, and currently they are working but they
Working.
plan to resign after the internship.
Yes, and so our Outreachy is only open to people who can work 30 hours per week. And so if you have a part-time job, you may be eligible, but you'll need to apply and we'll have to approve that job. So if you already have a job, if you currently have a job now, do list it on your initial application. And then there is a check mark box that you can say, I will quit if I am accepted as an intern. So if you have a job now and you're willing to quit that job when we announce the interns and you start, so you can fully focus on the Outreachy internship, then yes, you are eligible. Please do apply. Do check out our eligibility rules. We have specific rules about, um, whether what jobs qualify. For example, there are people who come to us and say, oh, I want to work 2 internships at the same time, and we don't allow that. You can only have 1 internship, which is the Outreachy Internships. But if you're quitting your job, if you have a part-time job, do apply and do list those jobs on your initial application. I think I answered that question.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much. So I'm going to answer this. Someone just asked, can you give examples on how to write the essay? I'm going to answer these some other question. Then either Anna or Sage can also share more insight if needed. So if you want an example on how to write the essay, aside going through the outreach documentation that guides the applicants, I'll also encourage you to reach out to past interns. You see them in several open source communities that you probably belong to, or you can check the past projects, or you follow on social media. We have most of them even on this chat right now answering some questions. You'll see them. You can check the Outreachy website for past interns. So you can reach out to them. You can ask questions in that regards as well. Um, Someone also asked, can Nigeria apply? everybody can apply. Outreachy Internship is open to everyone, not just for US citizens, everyone from all over the world. There's another question. Yeah. I think Sage will want to take this. You're muted.
Yeah, the so when we say applicants from the northern hemisphere, we're only talking about students. If you are not a student, you can apply to either of the cohorts. No restrictions on people who are not students. But for students, especially students in the northern hemisphere, there is a much shorter break in between the semesters. And so our eligibility rules state that you have to have 42 days free from school. And so Northern Hemisphere students generally do not qualify. There are the what we've found out is that generally northern hemispheres do not qualify for that 42 days rule, and so we've applied it as a blanket rule. And that's just to make it fair too, because we want to give students from the southern hemisphere a chance to apply for Outreachy. We want to give northern hemisphere students a chance to apply, and so by splitting these two, we're putting you on equal footing for these two different cohorts. And so it is better for the mentors because you're fully focused on the project. It's better for you because we are splitting students into these two cohorts, giving you more of a chance depending on which hemisphere you're in. And also, it makes sure that we can process all those initial applications. So, this is why we have the rules about Northern or Southern, is just to make sure that the interns have enough time to work during the internship, and we have to apply a rule fairly across all of the different thousands of applicants we get. And so this is our rule of we you apply for one cohort or the other if you're a student. There are no exceptions to those rules. So we have to be very fair. We have to be very precise between the folks. And then there was more I wanted to add about the essay too, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
Yes. So Omotola mentioned that someone was saying, "Do you have some examples of like what essays look like?" I want to emphasize two things. One is we don't judge you for your grammar or your spelling, or if you're a non-native English speaker and you're trying to tell us, what your life and your experiences in tech have been. We don't judge you, and so don't put too much time in the spelling, grammar, that kind of checking. What we are most interested in is making sure that we understand your lived experience. So when you're writing your essay, write about what you've experienced, write about the discrimination or the systemic bias or the kinds of challenges or barriers you faced because you're a marginalized group within tech in your country. We really want to know what you've experienced. Maybe maybe you haven't directly experienced discrimination or harassment, but you know other people in the same marginalized group as you that have. You can tell those stories too. But what we want to make sure is that you are writing from your lived experience, from things you know, and making sure that you have your essays be your original content that you put in. Um, yes. Let me see. I'm scrolling through to see if there's anything else about the application period while Omotola's uh, connecting.
Okay. I think we have a question. I Sage, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay. We have a question about, and I think Anna already answered this. Hi, Anna. I know you already answered a question about how long. I'm just going to rephrase the question now. Someone is asking how long your essay should be. How long do
Mm.
they need to write? Maybe they need to write 20 pages, they need to write just 5 pages, or just a page. Anna, do you want to like give insights on that?
Sage, give me a check. There is an upper limit of characters, correct?
I believe it is 500 characters per essay question. So you can write 500 characters for the essay, but that's the maximum.
Yeah.
A- And honestly, you don't have to write, fill out the full character count. It's really more about making sure that you share those really detailed and uh, really detailed experiences of your life enough to make sure that we understand what you've experienced, that if you're in another country, that you're writing for someone who's maybe not living in your country, and providing enough details that they understand what it's like to be a marginalized group in the tech industry of your country.
Yeah, I recommend you, instead of writing a really general statement like I'm a woman in tech, you could talk about what's like to be a woman in tech in the country you live in, and what are your personal experiences as a woman in tech, for example.
And then I noticed that, I think we've covered that. So the next question is, I noticed that the Outreachy interns are announced on November 20th, and then the internship starts December 4th. What happens if I have like a 30-day notice period that I have to give work? So what happens in that case is, if you need to quit your job and you have to work your job for those 30 days after you give your notice, then what we do is we move the internship start date and the internship end date. You would, instead of starting December 5th, you'd start 2 weeks later, if that's your 30-day notice period.
Okay, thank you so much for answering that, Sage. So we have another question about university that doesn't provide an online calendar, and so a student is wondering how they're going to submit their academic calendar. I think you're muted. Sage, do you want to answer this?
Sure. So for this particular case, what we advise you to do is put a link to the previous year's calendar. So if, for example, the calendar for your university that's going to start in February hasn't been released yet, what you can do is you can give us the link to the calendar for the February cohort the previous year. So in 2022 instead of 2023. Um,
Thank you. Anna, please, I want you to really answer these. We have someone asking about the fate of interns after the internship. So I just want to add that Anna was once an Outreachy intern, and they've been doing so well even after their internship. So from their experience and from other past interns' experience, I would love them to answer this question.
Well, there are prospects for interns that have gone through our outreach internship. So, in my particular case, I was very public about my internship. I would write blog posts in Portuguese and English, especially because there was little about outreach in Portuguese. So, and that caught the attention of people in my community, my local free software community. And I was able to get other opportunities as soon as I ended my internship with Outreachy. I will say that for many interns, including me, it's not a linear path. You have ups and downs in terms of what kinds of career opportunities you get. I I was a research assistant, and then I joined the Outreachy team a year later. I participated in Google Seasonal Docs, which is another program. So there are several things that Outreachy interns and alums may do by the end of the internship or after the internship ended. There's, I will say, there is not a 100% guarantee they will have a job by the end of the internship, but we do have a strong community of mentors, coordinators, and general community members who are happy to support you to help you find other job opportunities as soon as you end your internship.
Okay, thank you for that. I see someone does drop comment saying this is my first time hearing about Outreachy. So you're welcome. I know you're not alone. I know there are other persons who are just joining us for the first time, or who probably are just hearing about Outreachy for the first time. So let me give you a little bit insight about what Outreachy is. So Outreachy is an internship program. We provide paid remote internship opportunity for folks to contribute to open source and open science projects. So it's a 3 month program. You can work from anywhere, you can apply from anywhere. All you need to ensure is you are eligible, which is one of the things we have been sharing insights on. So you have a one-on-one mentorship opportunity. You have a community where you can build, where you can learn from, and you also have the amazing Outreachy folks, to Outreachy organizers, to help you out if you need any support. And we are sharing insights on how to apply, especially for the initial application. So this chat is focused on the initial application. So you can ask questions. We've shared link to the detailed chat on what the initial application is about. You can see that in the description. Please go through the video. You can watch the video afterwards. And we are also going to be having several other chats about the other stages of the Outreachy internship. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn your notification on so that when we put up any chats, you can get notified so that you will not miss any of the sessions. So I know Sage wants to share insights on the projects, the kind of projects that we have. And I've seen a lot of questions regarding that as well. Sage.
Yeah, so one of the questions I saw was what type of projects do we offer? I saw a lot of questions about, do you have projects in this particular framework? Do you have projects that are non-programming projects? And so I just want to talk a little bit about that. So Outreachy typically lists around 100 projects each round, each cohort. And then we usually pick around 60 to 70 interns. Now, Outreachy, our projects are open to any kind of thing you could do to contribute to open source. So most people, when they think of open source, they think of, oh, you have to be a programmer. But there are other ways to contribute to open source. You can write documentation. You can translate the documentation or the software from one language to another. You can do design work. You can do data science or research. You can do user experience or user interface design. We've had interns do projects like organize an open source conference, be a social media and marketing intern for an open source project. Um, do research on how people contribute to Wikimedia. And so there are many, many types of outreachy projects. And at first, you may not see a project that fits your particular interests. Most of the projects are going to be added after the initial application period. And so, what we advise you to do is make sure to apply if you're interested in an internship in open source or open science, and apply even if you don't see the project you want to participate in yet, because we get new communities, new types of projects all the time. And so you should fill out the initial application and apply even if you don't see a project. But I want to just really emphasize Outreachy is not just for programmers. Outreachy is for everyone. And so there's always going to be a way that you'll be able to contribute to open source or open science. And we want you here, no matter what your skill level or experience is. And then I think, Anna, do you want to take that question about can a person apply to Outreachy multiple times?
If you have not been selected and started working as an intern, you can apply again if you have not been selected. We encourage you to apply multiple times. And we have interns that had to apply multiple times until they were selected as interns. So don't be discouraged if you apply for the first time and you are not selected or you don't go to the contribution period. We had interns that had successful internships that had to apply more than once.
And I do want to say too, we'll have more chats when it gets closer to the contribution period about how to successfully apply to Outreachy. So there's two phases for applying. One is you fill out that initial application, you talk about your experiences and your experiences with um, being underrepresented, being part of a marginalized group in tech, and you fill out those essays, you submit the initial application, and then we go through those initial applications, we read the essays, and we'll approve some of those initial applications based on both time and the essay contents themselves. So your time commitments and are you eligible for Outreachy and the essays as well. So once you uh, once you go and fill out the initial application essay and the initial application, there's a second phase where you look through the list of projects and you start making contributions to those projects. So you start looking for project tasks. So we've talked a little bit about the two different types of the contribution phases in the prior video, and so I suggest you go look through the video for um last December, and then there's also some videos about like contributing to during the contribution phase. And so I would suggest you take a look at uh those ones as well. There was a question too about why are Google Summer of Code interns not allowed to apply. This is a historic rule. When Outreachy started, our goal was to improve diversity in open source, including making sure that Google Summer of Code was more diverse as well. And so, if you have done a Google Summer of Code internship, you're not allowed to apply to Outreachy, and that includes even if you were accepted as a Google Summer of Code intern but didn't finish your Google Summer of Code internship. And the reason is because it's combined with the rule where we only allow someone to be an Outreachy intern once, and that's because we want to give people the opportunity to have an open source internship once. And so that's why we don't allow the Google Summer of Code interns to apply to Outreachy, because they've had that experience and we want to give other people a chance as well.
All right. Thank you so much, Sage, for and Anna for the explanation so far. A quick summary. There are lots of projects that you can apply, that you can work on. So give it a shot, apply anyways. Submit your initial application, at least for now, so that when the projects are being listed, you are already eligible to pick any of the projects. So you have to be 18 by the time the 18 years, by the time the internship will kickstart. So that is for the age requirement, because I see someone drop a message, a comment about that. And please go through the Outreachy eligibility rules And we have a detailed video about the initial application. You can check the description of this video. We have inserted the link to the previous video is there. And do we have any other question? Is there anything? Okay, something very important that I want like all applicants to take note of is please try to submit your application as soon as possible. As soon as the application starts, please submit your application as soon as possible. Don't wait for the deadline before you submit. Don't wait for a day before the deadline before you submit, because we are going to get more applications towards the end, and things might happen, but you need to submit your applications as soon as possible. Another very important thing, I think, I'll call Sage or Anna to like give more insights on this, is we encourage you to have like a separate document where you put all your responses before you copy and paste them on the Outreachy website. Sage has already mentioned, or I think Anna mentioned, that we we are not really after your grammar being 100% correct. We understand that some applicants are not English native speakers. So please apply, notwithstanding. Sage, do you want to like give insights on how they can better their application and how they should submit?
Yeah, so as Omatola mentioned, there's those essay questions. They're going to take you some time to answer. You might want to have a think about them. And so we recommend that you start a document for yourself on, writing those essay answers before you submit your initial application. So make sure to have a separate document. Maybe that's a text file you keep around. Maybe you're using an open source Office application like LibreOffice. There are other online documentation, open source documentation tools like Nextcloud that you could, try out their demo or sign up for a free account. And those will help you, correct spelling mistakes or grammar. But again, we don't care about spelling mistakes or grammar. We want to understand what is the heart of your experience in the tech industry in your country, and your learning environment when you're learning about technical and open source things. So once you have that document and you've gone through and you've written your essays down, then sit down and you're ready to fill out the initial application. Make sure that if you're a student, you have your school calendar. If you're working, know when you'd be able to quit your job or what your contract dates say, and know that information before you start your initial application. And when you do, make sure that when you fill out your initial application, you're on a stable internet connection. Maybe that means you have to go connect to a more stable network or go to a tech hub or go to an internet cafe, but make sure you have a stable internet connection because you can only submit your initial application once. You won't be able to revise it or edit it. It has to be submitted all at the same time. And so if you drop your internet connection, you may have issues. Um, the other thing to make sure to do is answer all of the questions. So there's going to be multiple pages of questions. Make sure you answer yes or no for every single question on that page before you go on to the next one, because otherwise it picks no by default and you'll perhaps have some incorrect information entered. So always pick yes or no on the questions before you go to the next page. And then there is a way to go to the next and previous pages of answers at the bottom. So there's like a back or a next link. Make sure to use those back or next links rather than using your browser's back or forward buttons. And then, make sure before you hit that submit button after you've done your essays that you're really done. So you might go back and look at your previous pages, make sure all the answers are correct. I've entered all of my time commitments correctly before you hit the submit button. So there are some folks that accidentally submit hit the submit button uh, because they're just trying to see what the questions are. So be careful when you're going through the essay and you get to the end where it says, "How did you hear about Outreachy?" There's a submit button. Don't click it until you're really, really done.
Yeah, we have an applicant guide on our website. So if you want to see the essay questions beforehand, they are available publicly. So you don't need to actually submit it to actually see the questions. Those are public.
Thank you so much for I like that. And also I want to appreciate some past interns are in the comment section message for answering the applicant's questions. I can see a lot of responses. So if you think join late, or if you join late, or you think you have a question that might be answered, I really advise you to watch the past video that we mentioned. Is you can find it in the description below this video, and also you can listen to this chat. The recording is going to be available on our YouTube channel, so you can listen again to answer to your question. And if at any point you think your question, you have any questions that have not answered, please send us a mail at applicants/help@outreachy.org.
Yes, and I think Omatola also wanted to mention, as well as having that
So
email address, you can also always ask us questions via social media, DM, but email is often the best way to get a hold of us.
yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much to everyone that has joined, and those persons that are still going to listen to this chat later. We are so much looking forward to your application. There is a particular question that I know we have not addressed. Someone is asking us. I think we have answered, but I want us to mention because application for mentoring community is actually ongoing now, and we are encouraging mentors to apply. So we want to use this chat to kind of branch into that. Sage, do you want to like say one or two things about the benefits of mentoring communities joining us? I know we have a chat scheduled for that, but we might want to highlight that so that intent applicants can know that we are actually advocating for more mentors to join us so that we can have several projects that interns are going to be working on.
Yeah, so Outreachy is always looking for new mentors to join and to help us out. Um, there are two things that are often a little higher barrier to being a mentor. One is that mentors need to already be a contributor to an open source project. And that project, that open source community needs to apply as an outreachy community. So, for example, if you are a contributor to Django, which is a web framework that's written in Python. So if you contribute to it, if you use it, if you have an idea for a cool feature, then that community needs to apply to participate in Outreachy. So maybe you go and talk with the other Django developers and you say, "Hey, I really think that it would be cool if Django was a part of Outreachy. Could we apply?" Um, so get some support from your community. And this has to be an open source project that you yourself contribute to. I know sometimes we get people who are really excited to mentors, but they're not a contributor to an open source or an open science project. And that doesn't work because this internship is trying to pair people with mentors who are experienced in open source and open science to join. The other thing to note is that outreachy mentors have to agree to commit 5 hours per week during the internship period. And that includes things like, meeting with your intern for an hour per week to see how they're doing, to plan out the week. Maybe you have pair programming sessions or you're pairing with them to understand something that is community knowledge. Maybe you're working to review their contributions, to give them feedback. And so that's approximately what we think mentors should be able to commit to, that 5 hours a week. The other thing too is funding as well. So communities who are not open science communities need to, or humanitarian communities need to find their own funding for the interns. So that can also be a barrier as well. But those requirements aside, mentoring and outreach is a wonderful experience. You get to work with such cool, awesome people. You get to have a whole bunch of newcomers come into your community and figure out all kinds of things that could be improved in your community. But it's a learning and growth opportunity where you and your intern learn and grow together and learn from each other, quite frankly. And so I love it. It's so good. Mentors are one of the beating hearts of Outreachy, and we would really appreciate your time. So if you know of an open source community that you'd like to participate in Outreachy, you can drop them a link to the blog post that we have on the Outreachy website, which is our call for mentors and outreachy mentoring communities. So if you think you know of an open source project that should participate, please do share that info with them. And then also tell them that we're going to have another live chat in next week. I believe it's next Tuesday, Omatola. Correct me if I'm wrong. Uh, and we're going to have a chat about what it's like to be a mentoring community. How do you find mentors? How do you define projects? What kinds of things? And so, if you know of open source projects that could be interested in joining Outreachy, just give them a little nudge. We would love to talk to them.
So I can see a lot of questions about mentors. We have our chats that will be focused on uh, free and open source software communities that are interested in mentoring Outreachy interns. We have that chat scheduled for 15th of August. Then we also have like a live Q&A like this for people, that's for mentors who are interested, people who are interested in becoming an outreach mentor. So this second chat will be up to 22nd of August. So these two chats will be focused on answering any questions that you have regarding mentors requirements, the community requirements, any questions that you have about mentoring, both from the community perspective and from the individual as a mentor's perspective. Please, if you check our YouTube, you'll see this chat. We've already scheduled it, so you can click on set a reminder so that you can get like a prompt when we start the chat. If you have your mentors that you want them, your personal mentors that you want them to be part of this program, please reach out to them as well and share the link. I just dropped the link in the comment section. Once again, thank you so much to Anna and Sage for answering these questions. I can see Karen in the comment section as well. Thank you so much for answering so many questions. And there's one other person. Let me just generalize it as Outreachy past intern. Thank you so much for answering all the questions that the applicants have. We are so much concerned about supporting the Outreachy applicants and as well advocating for mentors. So we're advocating for more mentors in the next few weeks. Application for the mentors are currently ongoing and mentoring communities is currently ongoing. And for the applicants, the application is going to start tomorrow. Right? So watch out for the application to for the December cohort tomorrow. And just like we mentioned earlier, please ensure you go through the eligibility rules. Make sure you write your essay very well. You don't have to be scared of anything. We are not after the grammar or the tense whatsoever. And also ensure you submit your application on time. Please submit your application as soon as possible. Please submit your application as soon as possible. Thank you so much. I don't know if Anna has one or two things to add or Sage one or two things to add before we wrap
I
up.
do. People, please, folks, don't be too anxious about the contribution period for now. Focus on your initial application. The projects will be they will be posted and promoted later. Don't worry about that in this particular period. Worry about writing your essay answers, worry about reading the eligibility criteria, and then later on, you should focus on reaching out to mentors, reaching out to communities, and understanding the process behind contributing to open science and open source projects. So don't worry about too many things for now. There are a couple of chats that we have hosted previously about those other periods of the application. But for now, write your essay and good luck for your application.
Yes, good luck for the application. I say, do you want to add one or two things?
I think Anna basically covered it. I just want to say to all of the applicants out there, thank you for your time filling out these initial applications. We know it takes time. We know the essays can be a little daunting. Please do apply. We're here for you. We want to know what your experiences are. We want to support you through this internship, and we want to help you learn about open source and open science and level up your skills and start a cool career. But we can't do that until you submit your initial application. So that's the first step. Thank you so much, folks. I hope to see you all at the internship announcement. But again, I
Yes.
can't see you until you submit an initial application. So do so early.
Do so early, and we are looking forward to receiving as many applications as possible from the applicants. Please, we're looking forward to that. Ensure to engage Outreachy on several social media platforms that we are on LinkedIn, or Twitter, or Mastodon. Please engage with us, ask us questions, send us emails, send us DM. We'll answer as many as possible. And please leverage on the past Outreachy interns that are going to be available on these platforms to answer your questions as well. Leverage on that, and we are looking forward to your application. So I'm going to end with Karen's message. If in doubt, just apply. Please apply. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so that you can get notification for the next chat. And see you next week for the mentors chat. All right, bye, everyone.
Bye bye.